computer business?
I do.
What do you repair?
I repair, and also I tell people, hey, your computer is too out of date. I tell them, hey, you can get a brand new one from us, or you can get a new one from the other shops. I also build computers as well for people. Gaming computers, workstations, anything that they really want.
Do you buy the part? What do you do? Buy the pieces and put them together?
Yeah. For example, I'll get a Dell desktop, for example, that has no parts in it, put some refurbished parts in them and sell them as brand new. And how that works is that I have a warranty on all the parts. So basically, you're buying a $500 computer for $250. So you're getting a better deal from us than anybody else in the market.
How did you know how to do this stuff?
I kind of basically just taught myself. When my dad bought me a computer when I was about 3 or 4 years old, it was just like a really cheap HP desktop computer. And he let me start playing on it. And I forgot what game I had. But by the time my mom had dinner ready, I already knew how to play this, I think it was like a Wally game or something, where I already knew how to play it. And that's how I kind of got into computers when I was about 4 years old. I basically just taught myself from there.
So you take somebody's computer and you repair it, or now, everybody always says, well, it's cheaper just to buy a new calculator than it is to repair it. Is that not the same way with computers?
It really depends on what you want your computer for. Now, for example, if you have a $200 laptop and the hard drive goes out, we can charge you $100 to repair the hard drive. But what we do is, instead of putting a new hard drive in, there's this new thing called a solid state drive, which is up to 5 to 15 times faster than a regular hard drive. So it not only is it faster, but it doesn't have any moving parts in it. So basically what that means is that these solid state drives last about 5 to 10 years longer than a regular hard drive. So what that means is that if we put a new solid state drive into your computer that you have right now will last longer than that new $200 computer.
How do you know? Do you screw it in there? Like have screws to?
Yeah, you basically just take out the old hard drive and put the solid state drive in. It's in the same slot.
And because it's made from the same manufacturer?
Yeah, you can get a there's WD, SanDisk, and all these other hard drive companies. And you could just slap in the solid state drive, and it's in the same kind of like caddy as the hard drive. The caddy's the little spot where you put the hard drive.
Now with this hard drive, what's it reading?
It's reading like your boot files.
Is there something spinning in there?
Yeah. There's a little disk in there, and it's always spinning all the time. But with a solid state drive, there's no disk in there. It's just a board. It's like a.
So if
like
relate this to the record player, like this record player.
Yeah.
Put a record in it, it spins around the needle.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the same principle?
As a hard drive, yes.
So
a solid state drive doesn't have that. It's basically just a chip.
So how does it know what to read?
It basically just looks at the chip, and it has these little sectors in the chip, and it can read off those sectors.
Boy, that's confusing, isn't it?
It's very confusing, but people love them, and a lot of people like to change out their hard drives for solid state drives because it's just the future now.
Now, these computers,
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I first got my first computer, I had I forget what kind it was, but it wasn't Windows. It wasn't Windows. What was the one before that?
MS-DOS?
Yeah, DOS, and you'd put in a formula and hit enter, and it'd go.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you this: the computers, unless you're an accountant, to me a computer is just a calculator, filing cabinet, and a typewriter in one.
Mm-hmm.
So beyond that, then you got the internet,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where I start getting lost. So the internet, when I type something in on the internet,
Mm-hmm.
or I go to YouTube, What exactly is happening?
Well, once you type in that address, it sends a signal to the website. Sends a signal to your router, and then your router, which is what the people at the internet company install into your house. Then your router sends off a signal to the website. If they get a signal back from the website, the signal will go back to your router, and then the router will go back to your computer. And this will happen in like milliseconds.
Well, that's way over my head. All right, so talk in layman's terms. If I go on the internet and I hit YouTube, where is YouTube? Is it a building somewhere?
There's servers at Google.
Now, what's a server?
A server is like where they store all of their information for their websites and their data and
Their
everything.
filing cabinet?
Their filing cabinet.
All right, so they've got a filing cabinet there. And I can access it through the satellites and telephone wires,
Right.
either one.
Right.
So why can't I have a YouTube site? And why can't they click onto my site?
Because it's more of a. That's a very good question. It's kind of a hard question to really answer, because if everybody had their own YouTube website, then you'd have all these really complicated steps as to how to get to each and everybody's website. Like if 6 billion people had a YouTube website, you would have to go www.youtube.com and then enter that specific website number. And if there's 6 billion websites, for example, you would have to put in each number individually.
Because it's connecting to what?
Connecting to your specific YouTube website.
And what gives me the right to create my own? I don't know. It's not even, see, with people of my age, they don't understand this whole concept of what it's connecting to.
Yeah.
So if I was to so how would you take a computer and create your own YouTube site? Would you have to register with the government to get a?
Are we talking about like a YouTube channel or like a site, like an actual, like where people can click on?
Yeah, a site.
Well, I mean, for example, if you want to create, I'm going to use a YouTube channel, for example, like yours, you just go on the YouTube website and just hit register, and then you put all of your information in and create your YouTube channel like that. Now, by a YouTube site, that's more of a networking thing, and I'm not really into networking, but from my experience, it would just be way too complicated to make a YouTube website. And plus, you also have copyright, because Google owns YouTube. So if you just went up and made a YouTube website, and put that in air marks, it would kind of be almost copyright infringement, because you're taking Google's idea.
Oh, so that what they had was an idea of, hey, well, would they be considered the maybe the hourglass part of a? In other words, they're almost just directing people that are looking for something from people that are trying to sell something.
Right. Yeah.
So they're the place you would go.
It's kind of like a middleman, basically.
The middleman, yeah.
Yeah. It's like a middleman type deal.
And there's other sites, right? Than YouTube. Or so what? Like
We got like, for example, for videos, we have Instagram and TikTok and Snapchat and Instagram,
Facebook. So it's the same thing in a sense, right?
Yeah.
Just a different.
Yeah, and they're making their own spin off of it. And Facebook owns Instagram, so they kind of have their own little thing.
Yeah.
So
if you had created a place to connect these people, then you would have created YouTube, and that's why that's why it's so great.
Right. It's kind of like you're almost trying to take their idea that they've already made great.
Yeah.
If you made their own YouTube
now,
website.
because this information is going to, boy, that's way over my head.
It's almost way over my head too. It's very complicated.
I guess the best thing to do is just plug in the computer and go.
Yeah, that's what most computers are made for. Just plug and play.
I remember when I was probably 10 or something, my uncle got a calculator. It was a big calculator, and it had these lights that were all dashed lights. I guess what they call that, digital or something. And that was a big deal. Everybody was to stay away from the computer because it plugged in, and, I mean, to the calculator. So we've advanced extremely since then, since I was 10. What do you think's next?
I think computers are going to be so thin and so fast that as soon as you press that power button, it's going to be booted up. Like now computers, for example, on like brand new $2,000, $3,000 laptops, you power them on, it takes about 10 seconds to boot up, which is very fast, don't get me wrong. But in 10 to 15 years, those laptops are maybe this thick. They're going to be like not even, it's going to be insane. I can't even imagine what it's going to be like in 10 years. I think computers are going to be so fast that people don't know what to do with them. People aren't going to know people are going to be able to like edit videos in like 5 minutes and get it rendered in like 2 minutes, you know? It's just going to be really crazy what people will be able to do with them.
Have you seen those glasses that have your computer, like you can kind of look up there? And
Yeah. Google Glass had something like that Google had a thing called Google Glass back in 2013, and that never came to like light or anything because there's no backers for it. But Google Glass was there were glasses that you could like, I believe, mirror your phone or have an operating system on your glasses, and you kind of had to like swipe like this, and you could watch YouTube videos and.
Well, people would think you're
stuff
crazy
like that.
if you're sitting there.
Yeah, doing like this.
But that never took off.
No,
Wonder
I don't
why.
think so. Probably because a lot of people bring conspiracy theories into computers. So people are like, oh, well, this could damage your vision or something like that. You know how people are.
And plus, if you were driving down the road, you might have a wreck.
Yeah, and it would like show like navigation and stuff on there. So you would be driving, and it could show you like directions to like Starbucks or something, you know. So I thought that was always really cool. I just think people would be really distracted. And also your eyes aren't used to seeing something so like close up.
Yeah.
So you would have this screen just like right in your face while you're trying to drive or do whatever, and it would be kind of a
It was
distraction.
almost a bad idea.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
It must have been because it didn't take off too much. But that is super thin. Not even nothing.
Yeah, it was just literally just glass and a board, like a tiny board. I don't even know how they did it, honestly. That's just incredible to me.
So the future, when you say we can replace who are you saying we? You said we can replace your hard drive.
Yeah, so essentially what we do, and this is
Who's we?
Me and my friend Nathan Houghton. He's probably going to see this video, but me and him have been working on the business for the last 3 years. And he recently came on about a year ago. It was just me, and then I got him on board. And he helps me kind of talk to people and kind of get like recommendation as to what to do with their computers. So basically what we do is, let's say your hard drive dies in your computer, and you want to retrieve all that information. Well, we plug up your old hard drive onto this thing called a bus controller. It's called SATA, which is what hard drives run off of. It's a SATA port. It's about this big. And you plug the hard drive in, and then you plug it into my computer, and I read off all of your information and copy your operating system, your files, everything onto the solid state drive that's also plugged into my computer. So I'm just copying your hard drive information onto the solid state drive.
Will your computer run it, or does it have to use that same? What if it doesn't use that same operating system?
You have to like manually select your hard drive to copy it off into the solid state drive, so I don't accidentally like copy my information onto your new solid state drive.
And if you've got it copied, you might not even can use it. You just got it copied.
I just have it copied, right? You know, I can't access your files.
They'd have to you'd have to download that.
Yeah, onto my own computer.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I copy all of your information onto the new solid state drive. So now the solid state drive is basically like your old hard drive, but it's not dead or broken. Then we put the solid state drive into your laptop or desktop, and we just fire the computer up, and it should be exactly like how it was before.
Well, that could be a lifesaver, couldn't it?
It is. I've saved a lot of people's. I've saved people's when it came to. I saved people when it came to tax time, and just stuff in general. I remember I had some lady who, her hard drive died, and she had like photos of her mom before she passed away, and she lost all those files, and she was really, really thankful about that, and just stories like that. And that's why I do it. Sometimes I don't even charge people because I feel sorry for them, because it's a really sucky situation when your hard drive dies.
So what would you call that? Retrieving?
I call that data recovery. And the way that this all started, kind of a backstory about my business, is that I was on Facebook. I was 13 years old, about to turn 14. I was scrolling through Facebook, and I saw that this older lady, her name was Kathy, posted about how her computer was broken. So I messaged her and I said, "Hey, maybe I could help you out." You know, I wasn't going to charge her. I didn't have a business at this point. So I didn't know this, but her house was just like half a mile away from my house. So my mom drives me over there.
What are the odds of that?
Right. And I drive over there and I fix her computer. And over time, about 6 months into me fixing her computer, because what she would do is she would on purpose delete stuff so that I would come over there and fix her computer for free, because at that point she couldn't afford it. And that's why I started doing this, is so I can help people who couldn't afford to get their computers fixed. And I still do this to this day, but she would forcibly delete stuff off of her computer so I would come and talk to her, and because she had no family at this point. Mm-hmm. And I was okay with doing that. But after a while, she was like, you know, why don't you start a business? So freshman year of high school, I started Cleveland Custom Computers. And it became kind of a missionary to help people with their computers who couldn't afford it, / also a business. So it's kind of like two different things. Mm-hmm. And my whole purpose to me is just to help people with their computers and not charge people up the rear for things that they don't need. That's what a lot of people, that's what a lot of computer companies, not even around here, but in general, they'll charge you $500 for something I can do for $150.
And still be doing pretty good, I guess, right?
Right, yeah.
Do you have a place of business, or you just operate out of your website?
Well, my dad has this, he used to do his picture framing business. I forgot what it was called, but I kind of converted his office into my office, so I work out of my house. But it has this little outside entry and exit area, so customers can come in and take a look at what we have and stuff like that.
Do you have spare parts laying around everywhere, I guess?
Actually, not really. I actually order parts as soon as I need them, so that I don't fill up my office with stuff I don't need. I like to keep it simple.
So you could actually build a computer for somebody?
Yes.
What brand would it be then? Mixed brand?
Mixed brand, yeah. Basically, you'd have, let's say MSI. MSI is it's a motherboard and computer parts company. Then you have other parts from Asus and stuff like that. So it's really just my own company's computer, if you really think about it.
Because that's all they're doing too, right?
They're basically just selling parts out for people to build their own.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of the middleman where I build your computer for you.
That's what Bill Gates did, I guess, didn't he?
Yeah.
In other words, he just got the parts and
from
put them
IBM
together.
and stuff, and then he really started making computers and did software for them. And that's where I kind of come in, because a lot of people are confused, like, oh my gosh, how do I put a graphics card in, or how do I do this, or how do I do that? And people get really confused and stressed out, and then they end up breaking something on their computer because they don't know what they're doing. So that's where I come in.
Now, if you had a computer that you didn't want anybody to look into it, you just burn it, right? The hard drive.
Yeah, if somebody had a computer.
I mean, if a computer's been under the water, can you retrieve?
That would go to somebody that really is into data recovery. I do kind of the simple bare bones. Your hard drive dies. Transferring.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to go into data recovery, like really professional data recovery, then that's something I can't do, obviously. But
It's like forensic science or something.
yeah, that's like forensics.
Like the hard drive.
Mm-hmm.
Is it there again? Is it just a filing cabinet?
Yeah, basically. It's
And what's the what do they call that the what do you call that board thing?
a solid state drive.
No, the thing that it fits in.
Oh, a caddy.
No, the board. Like the
The motherboard.
yeah, motherboard.
Motherboard.
So what in computer? What are the main parts? You got
Okay, you got a motherboard.
which does what?
It kind of just tells. It kind of just has a place for everything to go into. For example, the CPU, which basically powers the computer, alongside with the power supply. So there's the motherboard, CPU, power supply, RAM, solid state drive, or
So
hard
the
drive.
motherboard is nothing more than a rack.
Yeah, and it has connectors. And let's say you don't have a CPU in, the
Why
computer's
even
not going to boot.
even give the motherboard a name?
Probably just to. That's a good question. I don't know.
It's just a place to put stuff.
Yeah,
If it's in the garage, that's where I put my rake, my shovel, and my hammer.
yeah, and then you have the RAM, and if you have a high power computer that you want to play games on, a graphics card.
So you got the motherboard or the rack,
Mm-hmm.
and then you got the power cord and the CPU. What's that?
The CPU is basically where everything just gets kind of processed. For example, if you have an Intel CPU, like an Intel i7, which is kind of like a top of the line processor, for example, that kind of, it helps you. It's more processing power compared to a base model
And what
CPU.
do you mean when you say processing? What does that mean?
Just processing information. Like if you were to open a program, it would take a lot. It would take a lot longer if you had a bare bones CPU than if you had like a $400 CPU.
What would even the $400 one do?
It's called multi-threading, which basically you can open up more programs at one time. You can edit videos faster. You can.
But what's it
Photoshop.
actually doing?
It does a lot of things. It kind of just. It's hard. It's really hard to explain.
What would you relate it to in my world?
Kind of like
Car
your car.
warranty.
Oh, you're good. It's kind of like your car's navigation system. It can do everything at once. It can play your radio. It can play your navigation. It can play everything at once.
A CPU.
Yeah. Your car has a CPU. If you have a touch screen in your car, it has a CPU. So it's kind of like it can do everything at once.
It allows you to play the radio, run the calculator, run and all that stuff at one time.
At one time.
So what else is there besides the CPU?
There's the CPU. There's the RAM. RAM kind of like stores all of your important programs that you use. So let's say you put your computer in sleep mode or hibernate mode. You wake up the computer and it shows all those programs again. For example, if you shut down your computer or put it in hibernate mode, you turn it back on, it boots up all of your important programs faster than anything else because it's on the RAM. It's called random access memory. That's what the RAM does. And then you have the solid state drive that stores all of your information. You have the power supply, which...
So a RAM would keep it sort of at the front door.
Yeah. And then you have the power supply, which obviously
Yeah.
powers the computer.
Then the keyboard.
And the keyboard and the mouse and the monitor and the monitor inputs and stuff like that.
So which one would you say is the actual computer of those components?
I would say the CPU and the power supply. And I mean, plus the motherboard. I mean, you can't run a computer without a motherboard.
You
There's
can
no
just lay
way.
it on the ground?
No, you can't. No way. You might fry something if you did.
Are they connected? Is the motherboard is it allowing those things to be connected, or just put in a place to put them on?
The CPU, you just plop it into its little thing and clip it in. The power supply, there's little connectors on the motherboard itself where you can plug in the power supply, then you can plug in the graphics card, and then you plug in the SATA cable into the
Now, we didn't
hard
talk
drive.
about the graphics card.
Yeah, so on higher end computers, you can get a graphics card, which for gaming or for CAD or for Photoshop and stuff, that's what I would recommend. But most CPUs come with an APU, which the APU is integrated graphics. So imagine just a graphics card, but in your CPU. And that's what most computers run off of. It's very hard to explain. It's kind of complicated. But an APU is basically inside the CPU that powers the display on your computer.
Boosts it.
Yeah.
Makes it better.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, that's way over my head.
It gets kind of complicated to talk about too, because when you're trying to talk about it in layman's terms,
Yeah, that's where it gets.
That's why I get confused. That's where I get confused.
It's not that you don't understand it; you're trying to explain it to me, and that's making it
Right.
harder.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you do quite a bit of? Do you get quite a bit of business from?
It really depends. It depends on the month. February is I don't know what it is, but February is probably one of my most profitable months, and October. The rest of the months are kind of hit or miss.
Wow, October, I reckon.
I don't know. I really don't. It's just kind of random to me. But when COVID hit, well, I say when COVID hit, probably around March.
Yeah.
March to about July, I sold about 60 laptops. And that was probably one of the biggest profit margins I've ever made, but it's because people needed laptops for virtual school and work and stuff like that. Because of COVID, it made my business actually take off. Because
a laptop that's when that's not a iPad. That's when you go like this.
Yeah, you open it.
Take into the coffee shop.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So where did you get the laptops?
Honestly, you get them you can buy them directly from a vendor. Mm-hmm. You can buy them off of eBay. You can buy them off of Marketplace. And then you tear them apart, you clean them, you put newer parts in them, and then you sell them off. And you can get like I said at the beginning, you can get a $500 computer for $250 from me with a warranty. Because I don't believe it's right for Dell or HP to sell you a $500 computer that is not worth $500, because they're not being charged that much for parts. They can make profit off a $250 laptop, but they decide to charge you $500 for something that's only worth $250.
So when you say clean up the computer, what do you mean?
I mean, like, for example, if it's a used computer,
yeah,
there's gonna be dirt, there's gonna be grime, there's gonna be disgusting stuff in the keyboard. So we blow all that out. We just wipe down the computer, get it really clean. Then if it has some bad RAM or has a bad hard drive,
How will you know if they're bad?
Usually when you boot up the computer, they have it's called the BIOS. You hit a button, usually it's like F12 or something, and we can check if your memory is bad via for example, HP has it says memory check or something. You hit that and it checks the memory for you. And if it fails the test, you have a bad stick of RAM or a bad hard drive, which at that point we just kind of replace both. Because if you replace the RAM, you need to replace the solid state drive or the hard drive, because that'll make the computer run a lot faster.
So you'll order those two things, get them in, and then what if you have if it's a used computer, you'd have old information that that the last user had?
Right.
Like what if he had his income tax on it?
Right, yeah, and that's why I tell people, if I buy it off of eBay, if I buy it off Facebook, if I buy it off of anywhere, I tell people, hey, you need to get your information off, because when I buy it, that's no longer, I can't really help you with that unless if I catch it. Because what I do is I just take out the old hard drive anyway and format it and completely wipe out the old hard drive.
Nothing's left on.
Nothing's left. And that's to protect the previous owner. Because if some idiot comes up into a dumpster, finds a hard drive, plugs it into the computer, and now they have your information. So I have to wipe it out completely. So that's not on me, and that's not on the other person.
Plus, you'd be using up some of the memory,
Right.
I guess.
And plus, it's old hard drive, too. So,
You know, that might be a business, is to, you know, like I've had 3 or 4 old computers. I don't even know where they're at. I guess somebody could get them and get down my social security number and my credit card information.
oh yeah, they can.
So maybe a business would be we will clean your hard drive.
Yeah, and I mean, I even advertise that. If somebody has an old computer and they want to get rid of it and they don't need it anymore, I say, hey, look, I mean, yeah, your computer's messed up, but I can wipe out your whole hard drive so you don't have to worry about, if you throw it in a dumpster or throw it at like an e-recycling place, because they have those. It's over on Peerless, they have like a I forgot what's called, e-waste place or something like that, where you can take your old computer and put it in a trailer and then they haul it off. But some person in the middle can probably grab your computer,
Sure,
get your information. And
It's like might be like giving it to the crook.
yeah, basically. I've seen it happen. I've seen people take computers there all the time.
You know, if you offered, how much do they give you for your old computer, or do they give you anything for it?
If the computer's too old, I don't want, I don't want it. You can just give it to me for free. Now, if the computer's to a point where you can't really repair it, I've had those computers, or it's not worth fixing for me to resale.
Yeah.
Then I just also, it really depends. Some people don't know what they have.
How do you wipe out the memory?
The hard drive specifically, what you do is you get a flash drive, you plug it into the computer. This is like really simple. Plug it into the computer, install a new version of Windows on it, and then format, and Windows will force you to format the hard drive before you install Windows on it. So you have a clean slate. So now you just have Windows on your hard drive.
Now it's not there. Now it's nowhere.
Nowhere.
What do you think the computers are going to do in the future?
That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, we've already come so far in only 5 years. I mean, think about cars.
Are you into this AI, or do you think we're going to see much of that artificial intelligence?
I think we're going to see self-driving cars in my lifetime. For example, AI, I mean, that would be self-driving cars. I think it really depends. We already have AI building cars. We already have AI doing a lot of the stuff that people used to do. My mom was a sub-coordinator for Cleveland City Schools, which she basically called up people and said, hey, we need you to substitute for a school. And she was replaced by a robot in 2016.
Or a computer program?
Yeah, basically, yeah. Well, robot,
I guess the cell phone is AI, right?
Yeah,
artificial intelligence. Do you think they'll put a chip in our heads and?
No way. I think a lot of people, with those conspiracy theories about COVID or whatever, what have you, people get really scared that they're going to put a chip in us, or we're going to have AI.
Yeah, that's the vaccine thing, wasn't it? It's supposed to be put in a.
Yeah, it's supposed to.
Yeah.
But and that's where people.
But my understanding is they're solving some people's spinal cord injuries by putting computers in them.
I haven't really heard much about that, so I wouldn't really know much about that. But I really wouldn't doubt it. I think it's very bare, like basic stuff. So it's not like they're going to take over your body and all this crazy stuff, like in the movies.
Yeah.
But
of course, artificial hearts. Or what do they call that?
I know what you're talking about.
Pace setter. Pace setter, no?
Pacemaker.
Pacemaker, yeah.
Yeah, I mean those.
That's artificial intelligence, right?
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
So if it just gets so far in advance, some people think that they can download your personality and put it into.
That sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
I mean, that maybe in 100 years, that could happen, but I don't see it, in the future. There's no
100
way.
years isn't even long, is it?
No. But no, I don't see it happening in my lifetime.
What about this stuff they say where they're going to put computers in your brain where I can just think and you're thinking and we're not talking, but we're still communicating?
I think that's going to be like 4 lifetimes away from me. I think that's really, I don't know if that's even possible. You never know, but that's crazy. I've never
It's
really thought about it.
crazy,
Yeah, it
yeah.
is crazy. I mean, even for me to even think about that, that's just mind-blowing to me. That people have those ideations and people have those even ideas to put computers in humans' brains, It's very,
Yeah. I believe that it's coming.
yeah. But I don't think it'll be in my lifetime or your lifetime, my lifetime. Who knows?
Well, if you figure how much technology has gone from, we can't just be to the end of this.
No way.
Say, well, we figured it all out.
Hmm.
So I don't know what else there is to figure out.
I don't either, and that's hard for me to say, but
You'd
heck,
just be guessing.
yeah, it's basically just hit or miss. I never thought that we would have self-driving cars in 2021.
Yeah.
I didn't know that we were going to have. 10 years ago, Bluetooth was just finally becoming a standard option in cars. Now we have cars that are $40,000, $50,000 with autopilot.
I've got a $16,000 car, and I get in it and the phone rings.
Yeah, the car I drove, today has adaptive cruise control. It follows the car in front of you. 10 years ago, that would be like, that'd be on like an $80,000 car.
Is that that where it has the automatic braking?
Mm-hmm.
But you called it something else.
Yeah, so basically, it's adaptive cruise control. So if you're on the interstate, it follows the car in front of you. So if you're doing 75 miles an hour, and this car in front of you slows down, your car slows down as well, and keeps the distance between you and the car in front
What
of
if he
you.
goes 90?
Then it won't keep up with him.
Oh, it'll. So it's like adaptive with a
Yeah.
maximum.
Yeah. So for example, if you just have your thing set to 75, he goes crazy and does 140. It's not going to follow him.
I saw a guy on the internet reading a book, riding in a Tesla in California, and he was reading the book while the car was driving.
Oh yeah. There's articles people sleeping in Teslas while the autopilot's going.
I guess why not, right?
Yeah. Now Tesla, that was like a couple years ago when it first
Yeah.
came out. So now Tesla has a thing where you have to like put your hand on the steering wheel every 20 seconds.
Yeah.
So you don't like trick the system.
Boy, that will really be handy if you can just get in the car, hit your Google Maps, say home, just like you would Google Maps. Of course, if you've got to put your hand on the steering wheel and all of that stuff, then what's the use in having it automatic driving?
Well, I feel like, you basically just tap on the steering wheel because I've driven one. You basically just hold the steering wheel for a couple seconds, let go, wait another 20 seconds, hang on, just basically tap the steering wheel. So you're not over here taking a nap or doing whatever in your car.
It knows you're awake.
It knows you're awake. It also has cameras and stuff in the dash to where it'll know that you're staring at the road. So if you're staring over here, it's going to deactivate in 20 seconds if you don't look straight up at the road.
Boy, that's bizarre, isn't it? And parallel park, I guess.
Yeah, it can park itself. The car that I drove today, if you push a button and you're at a, compatible parking spot, it'll park itself.
What kind of car is it?
It's a Cadillac CT6.
So that's not a Tesla or something weird. It's just a regular car you'd buy.
Yeah, Teslas are $50,000. And I know that's a lot of money, but when you think about you have self-driving, that car outside had an option for autopilot. It was a rare option, but it's called Super Cruise, and that's Cadillac's autopilot. And
So what is that, a $30,000 car? Or?
Well, now it is. New, it was about 75 back in 2017.
So for $30,000, you could get a self-driving car as an option.
Yeah.
used.
Yeah. It's incredible.
I would have to have them out for a while before I would really trust one.
Yeah, and actually Cadillac Super Cruise is better than Tesla's.
Now, what would be handy, I think, is if you could just get on your phone and instead of dialing Uber, you dial Uber, which is a self-driving car, and you just get in the back seat.
I've seen videos where there's a Lyft is doing a thing with this self-driving company. And there was a video of this guy getting into this like minivan, and there's literally nobody driving, and it was driving itself in California. And it would have a screen that says like rate my driving, and you'd rate the driving, and it would turn it even like turn right on red and stuff like that. It's like, I know, it's kind of crazy.
How do they know that?
I don't know. And that's just maybe.
The only
It's
thing that
crazy.
would worry me is if somebody's running a red light, and the automatic car driver is not going to know that idiot's running a red light.
It will, because I mean, there's cameras all over the car.
What would it do?
It would just stop.
What if it was too late? Would it speed up and get out of the way?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. It might.
Run into the ditch?
Who knows? Thankfully, I've never been in a
They
self-driving
would
car
have
that
to-
happened.
Now they say that the electric car, Tesla's electric, it says it will not slip on black ice,
Really?
which is almost
Wow.
impossible, I would think. But they said it will not. All wheels just keep turning as it's slipping, but I'd have to see that to believe it. But
That sounds
if they
incredible.
could solve that, then I would buy one.
Yeah, I would too. And plus, I mean, like I said, $50,000 for a car off autopilot. That's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, 5 years ago, that'd be like a $200,000 car.
And is this electric or?
Yeah. Tesla has all the electric cars. There's no gas cars.
None.
None.
Don't we have I saw in the paper where they had a place you could fill up with Tesla, like a gas station here in town, or was that?
Yeah, there's a place called there's a Shell on Paul Huff that has a supercharging station for Tesla.
Which one is that?
Huh?
Which one is that? Shell.
It's on Paul Huff.
Paul Huff.
It's right next to Target. It's right off of the interstate, off exit 27.
Yeah, that's close to where I live, but I've never noticed that.
There's a little, like, it's kind of off. It's like off in the parking
So
lot.
you can go up there and plug in your car?
Yeah, and you sit for 15 minutes and it'll fully charge.
See, I couldn't sit for 15 minutes.
But you get a
Just-
full you get a full 350 miles for free. So if you're going on a road trip, you basically don't have to pay for gas.
Will they charge anything for the electricity?
For supercharging stations, I think for the first year you own the car, you don't pay anything.
What about the second year?
I don't know how
Maybe
much you
that's
pay. Yeah, maybe that's when they get you. That's when they get you.
But if you could, of course, if you charge your electric car at your house,
I wonder how much the electricity would be. That's what I've always wondered.
that's always a debate, as the kilowatt hours and all this. But now they're putting it in garages where you pull into your garage, and it's like your phone's sitting on the charger. It'll just automatically charge your car because you put it in the garage on top of that pad.
I've heard about that.
Of course, that may drain your house. I don't know. If I was Tesla, I would publicize that.
Yeah.
I'd
As like ease of convenience, because people are
Yeah.
going to be lazy. They
and
don't
I
wanna
would
plug in their
educate the
car.
people on this is what it costs. It may be cheaper than gas. I don't know.
I mean, considering how much gas is going up now, it's
Yeah.
$2.60 a gallon. Takes me $50 to fill up my truck.
It's crazy.
It's ridiculous.
It was higher than that before. Till-
Yeah. A lot of people think it's the presidency. A lot of people think it's just how it is.
Sure is a coincidence if it's
Yeah,
not in there.
coincidence. Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, that is expensive. You figure, how much gas would you burn a week? You think, dollar-wise?
I drive a lot. Like I had to fill up my truck every week, so probably
Where do you drive to?
I drive to clients' houses because I do I'll pick up their computer. So sometimes in Chattanooga, sometimes in Dalton, just depends.
You have really got a business going here.
Yeah, I try my hardest. But no, it's I get about 260 miles a week, at least,
How do you get your business?
through Facebook and Google. So they just call me or send me a message on Facebook.
Do you get any nuts? that
Crazy
want you-
people?
Want you to drive to Chattanooga and give them a price or something?
Yeah, I've had that happen, and then when I drive over there, they're like, "Oh, well, that's way too much. I don't want you to fix it." And it's like, okay, well, you just want me to. You told me to drive all the way over here, and you don't want me to do it.
So are you able to weed those out?
Yeah, it's usually. I tell them they have to send me a $20 like diagnosis fee before I even come.
Are they apt to do that?
Yeah, a lot of people are. I mean, if they're desperate enough to get me to drive over to Chattanooga or somewhere.
So how do you receive the money? Do you have a PayPal?
PayPal,
account?
Cash App, Venmo. I have all the sorts. Mainly Cash App.
Do you have to pay fees for all of those?
With PayPal, you have to. Cash App is kind of hit or miss. It
Wait.
depends. It depends on how much you. Like with Cash App, you can put that money into your own bank account, and that's when you start getting fees because you have to transfer that money. So, like the same thing with PayPal.
So you have to have passwords and all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
See, I hate doing that because I always forget the passwords and.
Yeah, there's apps called like Dashlane, where you'll have one master password on your phone, and when you log in somewhere, and you have that then that Spotify password, for example, saved, or your Amazon, it'll put that password in automatically. So let's say you get a new phone, you download the Dashlane app, you put in your account information and that master password, you go on Amazon, it puts in your login information on a brand new device that you've never used. So it's really convenient. That's what I use, so I don't lose my passwords, because I have like 15 different passwords.
Unless your computer goes out, then you'd have to hire somebody to retrieve the data.
Yeah, yep.
Of course,
And that's
what
where I come in.
Yeah, you have to call yourself.
Yeah, yep.
So when you have this, don't you have to be like 18 to open up a checking account?
Well, my mom got me a student checking account at BB&T. Mm-hmm. Shout out to BB&T, by the way, for that. But
Yeah.
you know,
Capstar is one of our sponsors.
oh yeah, well,
They probably have it too.
sorry, Capstar.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I got a BB&T student checking account. Then with PayPal, it's kind of like a loophole type deal. They don't know that I'm 17,
Yeah.
but you kind of have to do after loophole. I kind of had to do like a joint account with my mom, and it's just like this weird thing. But basically, you just have to do a joint account with a parent.
So you've got so if somebody wants to pay you,
Mm-hmm.
you say, or somebody calls you and you don't know them, you say, well, I need a $20 diagnostic fee, which is reasonable.
Right.
And then you go out and they say, well, how do we get you the money?
Beforehand, I just send them my Cash App or PayPal or whatever, and they can send me the money. Now, with PayPal, you don't even have to have an account. You can just send the money. You just give PayPal your credit card information. You send them the money, and then I just get the money. I don't get your credit card information, obviously.
Yeah. Who charges? What's the fee for that?
I believe it's like if you want to transfer that money, which I usually don't transfer it because I have a PayPal credit card, so I don't even want to transfer that money. It's like $3, $4, $5.
Plus the credit card fee.
Yeah, so you're about like $10, which honestly, for me to go to and from Chattanooga, and if I fix their computer,
Because you'd have to pay if they paid you $20, you'd have to pay. If they paid with American Express to PayPal, so PayPal could pay you.
it's about $10.
That'd be like 5% plus their fee. It'd be about $10.
Yeah,
But the idea is you're getting somebody that's serious about wanting it fixed.
yeah, and that's the thing. That's why I charge such low rates on diagnostics, because some computer companies around here pay $75 for diagnostics, and they'll be like, the power on your computer, and they hear a clicking noise, and they're like, yeah, your hard drive's done. And they charge you $75 for that. And I don't see why that's correct or right. Or
They're not
right.
even fixing the hard drive. They're
No,
just saying
no,
it's
they're
your
just,
hard drive.
and I fixed the hard drive from Depends on how much storage you want, but $75 to $200.
You ever go out and to do a diagnostic and they just don't have it plugged in?
I've actually had a lady where she tried to plug in her surge protector, right, into her own surge protector. And I'm like, she's like, my computer won't turn on. And I'm like, have you tried turning it back off and turning it back on again?
So she had the tail of the surge protector plugged into
the actual surge protector. But she was like 90 something years old, you know. So. And I had one time where
you should have took a picture of that.
Yeah, I did. I actually did. There's this one lady who was like, for some reason, I'm typing in capital letters on my computer. I come over there, and I didn't. By the way, I want to say this: I didn't charge that lady who plugged in her extension cord.
Yeah.
And then this other lady had her caps lock on this whole time. She didn't know how to turn it off. You just press it.
Yeah.
So she was typing in all caps for like 6 months.
What I get confused at is that number lock.
Yeah.
That's the one that confuses me.
Numlock even confuses me.
Yeah. But luckily my computer has a light on it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you'll be rolling down through there, punching in numbers. Next thing you know, you're at AX57.
Yeah. Yep.
Really confused.
Yeah.
You know what confuses me? Do you use Excel?
Yes.
That circular.
Oh,
that thing is.
I had to take
What do they call that?
computer applications in high school. By the way, guys, do not take that. It's awful. But it's computer applications. It sucks. You have to learn Word, PowerPoint, Excel, and all that. You get a certification, so it shows that you know how to work Excel. Which, by the way, it's not rocket science. But they make it like rocket science. And that circular thing on Excel, that's almost what made me fail that class. It's awful.
The circular thing?
Yeah.
I went to Cleveland State. I was going to take a computer class on that. I guess maybe what you was doing, that Excel, and so I was just sitting there just playing with it, and the instructor came over and said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I was just setting up this worksheet." He said, "We're not going to get that far." He said, "You just well leave." So I just got up and left. So it must have been a very basic class. But that circular, what do they call that? Circular.
I know what you're talking about, but I don't even know what that's called.
Well, I figured out how to fix it.
I did too, but it's complicated.
You have to think. You have to rethink it. Has something to do with escape, but anyway, I've got it wrote down in my office for when that happens, because it happens. I don't even know what causes it. I think it's when you're adding this figure and that figure to get this figure based on this figure. It's circular, and so you can't get that answer until you answer this question.
It's just
and
like
this
a complicated.
answer is based on that answer, so it's a circular.
So if you get
question.
one little thing wrong, then you just mess up the whole circle.
Yeah, it can't keep going. So you have to reverse all of that, escape, and start over, something like that. So do you think? Are you going to do anything more than just repair these computers? Because you're probably too smart for this.
Yeah, well, I think that, I'm a senior in high school, so I'm thinking about graduating high school, obviously, going off to college. I'm going to do IT work. I'm going to major in IT at Chattanooga State for 2 years. Because, by the way, you get 2 years free at NETN.
Because of
a Tennessee Promise. So you get 2 free years at NETN College or University. So I'm going to do that. Probably get a job at like Dell or something. It's a really broad.
Doing what at Dell?
Probably desktop support, which is like kind of like what I'm doing right now. Like I'll be the person, if you call Dell, I'll be the person that answers and is like, hey, I'll help you out with this problem.
Turn off your computer.
Over the phone, yeah.
Save.
And people will make $50,000 a year doing that, which is a pretty decent
But
number.
you have to move to India.
Or
Right.
Nigeria.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is things are so advanced that may not even be an issue in the future.
Oh yeah, it probably won't be. I mean, people will just have. What I do now, what I'm starting to do, is I can fix your computer from my house if it's a software issue. That's what I've been doing.
What about writing software?
I don't really do. I don't write software. I don't code. I don't program. I don't do anything of that. Thankfully, because that's way too complicated.
Why not figure that out and do that?
It's just I'm not into that, and it's super complicated. It's a lot harder than it looks.
So you'd rather fix the car than design the car?
Yeah, that's basically
You're more
what
of
it is.
you're more of a computer mechanic.
Mm-hmm. There's just something satisfying about getting the computer fixed and running back up to where it's supposed to be.
You're almost like a modern day plumber. I'll come out and check out your problem and give you a quote for fixing it.
Yeah.
Because everybody's got a computer.
Mm-hmm. Well, everybody has a toilet too, so it's like
Yeah.
it's modern day plumber. Yeah.
That's what you're doing. In an electric car.
Yeah.
How much school have y'all missed due to COVID? Hasn't it been crazy?
God, dude. Last year, about this time last year, I wasn't even in school because everything was canceled. They canceled school March the 2nd or something crazy.
When was the? I was trying to think. It's been about 1 year and two. I'm going to say March the 1st.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't even thinking about it, and by the end of March, everybody was walking around.
Yep. Because I went on a dinner date on Valentine's Day. Nobody was thinking about it. Then 3 weeks later,
Who'd you have a date with?
oh, this girl.
Did you go to school with her?
Yeah.
Did you ask her?
Yeah, I did.
She said yes.
Surprisingly.
Yeah.
But no, I 3 weeks after that, everybody was in lockdown mode. Everybody was freaking out.
She normal?
Huh?
She normal? The girl.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just 3 weeks later. Everybody's locked down. Everybody was really scared. Then
Were you scared?
No, not really. I wasn't, because I'd wear a mask or I'd social distance, and then I was like, there has to be a vaccine coming out soon, right? A year later, we have a vaccine.
Yeah, but of course it was supposed to be, 7 years down the road or something. But
Isn't that kind of incredible that we had a vaccine come out that soon? Because vaccines are usually like 7 to 8 years.
7 or 8 years, yeah. It will go down in history
Mm-hmm.
as being one of the greatest feats since I
Because
don't know
everybody
what.
came together,
Everybody came together.
and that's what
Public and private partnerships and all that stuff.
and that's what everybody needs to start doing. In general, of anything in this world, is everybody needs to come together.
That ain't gonna happen, is it?
No, unfortunately.
It'll take another crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Like in World War II, they got together and
Yeah, they did.
collected metal. And didn't they do that?
Yeah, I think
Had
they
the
did.
they had the metal drive or
I don't know. I wasn't alive during World War II, so I don't know.
what was it they had? They'd go out and collect metal and take it so that they could.
Like rebuild or something.
Yeah, because it's building the rockets or the bombs and everything.
Yeah,
that was a big deal.
Yeah, and Ford was building airplanes and stuff like that, and Saab was
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Because Saab was airplane
So
company
it
at that
takes a
point.
disaster to come together,
Mm-hmm.
and we didn't even come together that good.
It's just sad that nobody can come together and agree on anything.
What's the biggest problem of being in business the way you see it?
It's just trying to gain a following. Especially, I mean, when you first start out, you have nothing. So you have to start like bugging people and cold calling people and stuff like that. Then when you start getting a following, it starts to snowball, is the way I like to see it. I think the biggest problem is people are like, oh, well, I can find it cheaper. And it's like, yeah, you can find it cheaper. Let's be real here. You can find anything cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
That's like saying, oh, well, this car is $75,000. I can go get a car for cheaper. Yeah, but it doesn't have the same options.
And are they going to come out in 2 days?
Right. So I tell people, yeah, you can find something cheaper, but are you going to have good workmanship and good quality? You probably won't if you get something that's cheaper than what the company or competitor sells. And you have to stand by your work, and a lot of people don't stand by their work. I had a dealership work on that car, and they couldn't find the issue in 2 weeks. I go to another dealership, they found the issue in 15 minutes. That's the issue of business. People don't stand by their work.
Boy, they don't, do they? Do you have people want you to come out on weekends?
I don't mind that. Although I charge them a little bit. I charge them $5 more, and that covers the PayPal fee. So
Yeah.
yeah, I come down on weekends.
So
Especially,
are you just going to keep doing this?
I think I'm going to kind of wind it down after college, but I don't know yet. It just really depends on how the economy is. Because once I graduate high school, I don't know what the economy is going to be like. Is there going to even be jobs like that anymore? You know, I kind of have to see what I have, what's in front of me.
Yeah, that's the big question everybody knows about, wonders about in every business.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be able to see ahead.
Right. And it's kind of hard seeing ahead, especially with the economy the way it's going right now.
Yeah, I see it as going really, as the economy is really good. Really good.
Mm.
So you could probably charge even more for diagnostic. But if you don't charge something, then they'll just run you to death.
And here's the thing: the reason why I charge so low is so you can get people in the door.
You just charge something, but make it low.
Yeah, and just kind of get people in the door, and that's how I first started. I never really changed it, because then you have people that are really interested, like, oh, they charged only $20, and then they're interested. Then they go look at my computers I have for sale. Instead of getting the computer fixed, they'll just buy a computer off of me. You know, and so it's kind of like you getting people in the door.
Do you take a laptop with you in case you can't fix it?
I do actually, yeah.
And then they say, well, it's going to cost you $275 to fix this, but I can sell you this laptop for $250.
I actually, yeah, I have like my own little personal laptop, and I've sold 3 personal laptops because of that issue. Of course, it's a lot more than $275 because the computers I use personally are a little bit more expensive than that. But I do bring a laptop with me and kind of show it off, and like, you know, if their computers too like, you know, unrepairable, I show them this computer, like, hey, this computer can do this, this, and this 5 times faster than if we just fixed your old computer.
Do you take a toolkit in with you?
Yeah, basically just a screwdriver, a tiny little pry tool that doesn't damage anything, a static thingy, like a static, I forgot what they're called. It's a wristband, but it's for static, so I don't like get any static electricity in somebody's computer if I'm working on carpet.
Yeah. Will that mess the computer up real bad?
Yeah, so if I don't have a static electricity thing and I'm putting a hard drive in, a solid state drive in, that could possibly damage something in the computer if I'm working on carpet, which most people have carpet.
What's the likelihood of that happening?
Not very high, but I don't like taking chances on people's computers.
And if you don't have one, they'll blame it on that.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the main thing. I don't want people blaming me, but also, I mean, it'd be my fault anyway, because I didn't have a static thing on.
If you were going to college, what kind of computer would you recommend?
Going into college, okay, so a used laptop. I prefer the ThinkPad. They're called, I forgot the name, but it's a really slim ThinkPad. It's called an X1 Carbon. And basically, these were $2,500 new. You can get a 2-year-old one for $600.
And what do they do?
They have like 1 terabyte solid state drives, 16 gigabytes of RAM. You know, they're really good for like school and Photoshop and video editing.
They have a lid?
Yeah, it's a laptop. Yeah. So that's what I recommend.
Like that wide, or?
I mean, you can get a 13-inch, you can get a 15-inch, you can even get up to a 17-inch. I'd usually get a 13-inch laptop for college because you have to carry that around.
13's about a little bit bigger than a book.
Yeah.
But a lot of those people don't use mouses. They go,
Yeah, and they have glass. It's like this glass. It's kind of like a MacBook trackpad, or it's glass. By the way, I would not recommend a MacBook, especially when I get it fixed, because I don't fix those, and there's a good reason. They're so expensive to fix, and I don't feel comfortable charging people up the rear for something that.
so if somebody's going to college and needs a laptop, you can get them at what they need
Yeah.
for $600-700.
Yeah, easily, and that's people's biggest mistake. I think they need the most newest thing possible for a laptop, and that's not true.
So you get one about 2 years old. And it's erased. You've erased everything. Why would you want something brand new when something 2 years old? It literally does the same thing.
It does the exact same thing, yeah, and that's like it's a hidden gem almost.
Do you put a new solid state
Yes.
thing in?
Yep, mainly it's just solid state because those ThinkPad laptops are pretty reliable, and they have the best keyboards on the market for a laptop. That's what ThinkPad was known for, and they're rugged and they're.
If you're on your phone and you get an email, then you can get the email off your computer.
Yeah, if you have Gmail or what
Yeah.
have you, yeah.
Now that always confuses me because I've answered it over here, and it shows I answered it on the computer.
Yeah, it's live.
That's really strange, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, even for me, it kind of spooks me out a little bit.
Well, here's one thing I've done. I'm writing an email. I've got my email up, and I'm checking my email here. Now we're doing it 3 ways.
Yeah. It's just
I wonder how it knows.
it's always sending and receiving data
Back and forth.
back and forth all the time, nonstop.
That's Google.
That's why your phone battery runs down. Is because it's always receiving and sending data, whether that's through text messages or phone calls.
Well, if I'm getting an email at my computer right now, my phone is using up
Battery.
energy,
Yeah, it's using that.
synchronizing. It's working, and I'm not even doing nothing.
Well, plus, I mean, it's trying to bounce off your satellites and stuff like that too all the time.
Do they really, these conspiracy theorists say they're watching me right now? Do you
Well-
believe that, or can they do that?
Well, yes, they can, but here's the thing. A lot of people don't understand that they're not important. I'm not saying this a bad way, but a lot of people think that they're so important that they're watching you all the time.
Yeah, they're not.
They're like, you don't have your personal FBI agent, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
There's no way.
But they could.
Yeah, they
Who are
could.
they?
FBI.
I mean, who are they at Google?
Yeah, I mean, hell, even Google can.
Would they have to go to the Google building and say, hey, we want to get in here and watch Dee at the office turn on his camera?
Yeah, you basically ask anybody that has any permissions to your phones. And I mean, you have to get a warrant for that. That goes in the legal stuff.
Yeah.
But,
So if you didn't want it, I'd do what? Go like this?
yeah, you just get like one of those little, like stupid little tape thingies and plop it on your front camera. But they can also hear your microphones, and you can't disable those. You can't disable a microphone on your phone.
They can hear me, they just can't see me.
And that's how, like, if you're scrolling through Facebook and you talk to somebody about, like, I don't know, a car, like if you say, I really want to get a BMW, you look on Facebook, you didn't even type anything in Facebook,
how's
it says
that
BMW.
happen? Do you think they're listening?
Yeah. I mean,
Is it somebody or is it just a computer algorithm?
Yeah, it's algorithm.
It's not Fred sitting over there
No.
saying, hey, you just mentioned that.
No. It's actually just an algorithm.
And tomorrow, your name's Peyton Orders.
Mm-hmm.
There's a likelihood tomorrow I'll get a call from Orders Peyton trying to sell me a car warranty.
Yeah.
It'll be a version, a similar version, because if I'm not paying attention, I'll answer it.
Right. Because those scammers actually steal caller IDs. I remember I got a call from my own caller ID. It was like Orders Peyton or Cleveland Custom Computers.
Yeah.
And I answer it, and they're like, we've been trying to reach you about your social security number. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. It's my own phone number, my 9436. It's ridiculous.
Maybe they thought you'd plugged your your power saver into your power saver.
Yeah. That's one I will never forget. That lady was super sweet, though.
Now, tell everybody watching how they can get a hold of you if they need their computer repaired or a real good deal on a good computer or laptop.
You can reach me out. I'll be on Facebook all the time. Just look up Cleveland Custom Computers or my Facebook name, Peyton Orders. And my phone number is 423-650-9436. That's 423-650-9436. Also, I have a Google page, Cleveland Custom Computers. That's also on Facebook as well, like I said. And that's how you can reach out to me. You just could call, make an appointment, and I'll get right back to you.
And you'll wear a mask if you have to?
Yeah, social distance. And if you feel comfortable, then that's fine. I won't. But in all seriousness, if you want me to wear a mask, just let me know.